And today we're going to be talking about how to finish out your term or finish out the school year in the time of a pandemic, which is kind of the time we're in right now. And this is all kind of uncharted territory for all of us. I don't know that I've ever experienced this before, or anybody else in our lifetime has. So we're all going to kind of try and find our way together. And today I'm going to share with you, I guess I've outlined 5 different things. Peek at my notes. 5 different things that you need to address right now. If you don't know, is the PTA PTO Superstar Leader Group. It is a community of almost 8,000 leaders across the world, really, because we have international members now too, to all share the very best tips, tricks, strategies, just get like a gut check on whether something sounds good or not. I encourage you to join. The group is linked, so look for it. Okay, and if you are just joining me from the PTA PTO Superstars group, I encourage you so that you get notified about all the live videos I'm going to be doing in this series. Go ahead and like PTO Answers and make sure you're clicking whatever you need to click to, I guess, follow to make sure you get all the updates. So let's dive in. So Ohio has been staying at home now for about 2 weeks. Well, the schools have been, I guess. So we've known that school's been out for 2 weeks, and I'm guessing we're pretty much done for the year. I'd be shocked if any school district actually goes back, given the timeline of the disease, of the virus and how it spreads. So I think we're just going to have to figure out how to work remotely, figure out how to wrap everything up this year in a way that we're really not used to. And for me, I guess there was a little bit of sadness when I thought about like the school year ending, because it's really the ending in this way, because it's so abnormal and it's so, I guess what I've been telling my friends is that what's so disconcerting to me is that everything is so certainly uncertain. We kind of know what's going to happen and we kind of don't, and that can be really upsetting, especially in the PTO world, if you have like a fundraiser or more events that you're like hoping that somehow it can still happen, but odds are is that you're going to have to change it in order to make it work. So we're going to cover what you can do for some of those things in today's video. So first, I want to just give you permission to be sad, to mourn the loss of what you've planned. You've spent all this time making these plans. We just have one more quarter to go for I know the schools in my area, we have one more quarter to go. So we have to mourn what we've lost, but also know that those plans aren't lost. I would encourage you, if you can't find a way to make the event still happen in some other way, for example, like a fundraiser, if you can't transform that, and I'm going to talk a little bit later about ideas on how to transform fundraisers, in-person fundraisers to something else, then save the plans for next year. Because one thing is for sure is that the next school year is going to happen. Unless something really crazy happens, I bank on we're 99%, school's going to happen on time this next year. So just save those plans. It's all not for naught, I guess. The first thing I think you need to do is really be realistic that the rest of this school year is done. Like, you just need to cancel the events. If your school district hasn't already canceled all the events, then I would first contact your principal and let them know what's going on. And then I would contact your vendors and see if you can cancel. I was in charge of a little fundraiser with a family activity center here, and it was scheduled for early May. And I contacted them about 2 weeks ago and I said, hey, we have this event coming up, and I know we've already paid the deposit, and I just don't feel comfortable promoting this to families because I don't think we're going to be on the other side of this by May 4th. And I wasn't sure if they would refund the deposit because it said it was non-refundable. It was only $100, so really no huge loss, even if we weren't able to get the deposit back. But the company responded back right away and said, actually, no problem. We totally understand, totally get it. Do you want to reschedule, or do you want and pick a new date? Like pick a due date now for next year, or do you want us just to refund the deposit? And since I'm moving on to a new school next year, my son is, so I am too, I just said, someone else is going to be handling this, so can you just give us back our deposit? And she was like, no problem. When our people are back in the office to do that, I'll have a check cut. Perfect. So maybe you'll have the same luck with your vendors too. So, because you never know unless you ask. after you get things officially canceled with your vendors, then I would go ahead and send out messages via email, your social media accounts, whatever you have access through to the school. If you personally don't, and by you I mean your PTO, if your PTO doesn't have an email list, then ask the school to send it out. And the office administrator is probably not in, but the principal probably is in, and they probably do have access to all of that. So go ahead and tap on your principal and just say, hey, we need help with getting word out that this has been canceled. And just make sure that you have your messaging tight. So if people have already purchased tickets and you need to refund the tickets, make sure how to get refunds or how they'll be processed is included in that communication. So don't do things higgledy-piggledy, like come up with an organized response of the event is canceled, here's how we're gonna be issuing refunds, that kind of stuff. The second thing I wanted to encourage you to do is to not stress about everything not being perfect or filling all of this time with other activities for your PTO members. Everybody is stressing out. Everybody is going through the same thing. So we're kind of all in this together. So if you need to take some time to chill before figuring out your plans, great. If you need more of a little pep talk on this, go ahead and look at, if you're in the PTA PTO Superstar Leader group, there is a video from last Friday that I did on this very topic. Don't stress if plans need to get rearranged. Nobody could have seen this. Third thing I want to encourage you to do is to actually not be an activities director on a cruise ship and try to fill all of the coming weeks with activities for your families to do. I'll tell you why. One, you're going to stress yourself out. Two, that's not so much your job, and maybe you feel like, I know somebody in the group yesterday was like, I just feel as president I need to be doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G and getting all this stuff done, and I just don't think that's the wisest way to spend your time. I think it would be better for you to get your house in order, for you to do fun things with your kids and enjoy this time and not be focused on other families. I think this is the time to focus on yourself and maybe be a little more selfish, and I'm going to give you permission to be selfish in this instance, because I think when you're a PTA or PTO leader, that's an act of selflessness, because a lot of times you're doing things that don't directly affect your kids. Like they kind of sort of do, but they maybe don't all the time. So I think now is an okay time to step back and not do so much. I think if you have a purpose behind all of the activities, for example, if you were going to switch your fundraiser from an in-person event to an online event and you needed to get publicity about that, and so you want to plan activities for families to do online and maybe post them on YouTube or create short little videos to post on your Facebook page, I think that's fine. But doing things without like a larger reason behind them and just to be doing them, it's going to burn you out, and you're going to be missing out on an opportunity to take care of yourself a little bit more. And if you feel like you really want to be doing PTO stuff right now, then I encourage you to organize your files. Get those all set. Especially if you're going to be handing off your files to someone else. Like if you're not continuing in your role next year, literally get your stuff together, okay? Put it in order. If you need help with that, I have a blog post that just came out last week, so go ahead and look at, I don't remember the URL for it, so I'll drop it in the comments, but go to ptoanswers.com/blog, and it should be the first one that pops up there for you. The other thing that I would encourage you to do instead of being busy with activities for right now is get busy with planning for activities next year. So the next school year, because again, that is a certainty. And that's really, I just think, a better use of your time. So there we go. It's a little harsh. Okay, next big topic that people want to know about. What about Teacher Appreciation? Teacher Appreciation Week is usually the first full week in May, and we're not going to be in school for that this year. Does that mean that you can't show your teachers how much you appreciate them? No, I encourage you to do that. I would shy away from activities that require the teachers to leave their homes in order to be appreciated, like doing lunches and all that kind of stuff. I just wouldn't do that, because I think it's encouraging people to get out, and that's what we don't need to be doing. We need to be encouraging people to stay put in their house, because then they will not expose others to the virus or get exposed. So I think if you want to honor people with a luncheon, save that for the fall. and don't feel bad about saving it for the fall. I think there are a lot of different ways that you can show your appreciation to teachers right now that don't require anybody leaving their house, such as you could have your child write your teacher a note, and if until you can hand it to them in person, you can take a little screenshot of it or a picture of it and email it to them. I'm sure your school has some kind of teacher communication portal, Class Dojo, Remind. I don't think it's a two-way street on Remind, but in Class Dojo it is. And you certainly you could send it to their email address. So do things like that. If you wanted to put together some YouTube videos or just record a little video of your child saying, "Thank you, Mrs. Baker, I loved being in your music class," or whatever. I think that's a great way to show your appreciation, that the teachers will appreciate that more than you arranging for a luncheon where they can carry out from Subway or something like that. And that's because the teachers are really missing their students right now. They are missing your kids. They are missing that daily interaction that they got with them. And so if you can send them a video or have your child write them a note, I think that would mean so much more than anything else you could do. So I think focus on those kind of, I guess overall, I just want to give you permission to feel like you're doing the best that you can right now without it being perfect, without you knocking it out of the park. Like, I think it's totally fine for you just to do what you can, and that's gonna be okay if you're doing your best. Permission. We're gonna make this easy. This is a super stressful time for everyone. The last thing I wanted to mention today is how to transform your fundraiser. If you had an in-person fundraiser, obviously you can't do it right now. And I have personal experience with this. I was helping to coordinate a 3-organization it was a huge fundraiser, and it was supposed to be held 2 weeks ago. And earlier in the week, the organizers, they were like, "Yo, I don't think we should do this." And I was like, "I agree, cancel. Like, no explanation needed, cancel. What are we gonna do instead?" It was supposed to be a casino night, and there were baskets that we had gotten donations from local companies and businesses, and we put together all these little different baskets. And at casino night, they were gonna take their chips and then turn them into tickets to bid to enter into the raffles for the baskets. Well, obviously that couldn't happen anymore since we were canceling the event. So I said, okay, can we just set up a site where people can buy tickets, and every basket can be just like a separate item, and then that way it'll be really easy to manage. And what we ended up doing was we used a platform where we could export the information into a spreadsheet. And then I just did a random number picker or random name picker for everybody who had purchased a ticket for the spa basket or the Cleveland Indians basket or whatever, are working out really well. And the thing that was really shocking to us, because I know some people have said, look, people are getting laid off, they don't have money for things, right? People don't have money for things. Well, that's not exactly true. Not everybody has been, luckily, I don't mean to be crass or say anything or be dismissive of people who have lost their jobs. Thankfully, it's not affecting everybody. So I do think it is still okay if your major fundraiser was now, they're going to be slightly hosed in the fall if they don't have funds from that event. So I think they need to look at ways to transform that in any way possible. Skipped a couple steps by not telling you that the fundraiser that we transformed from casino night to the raffle basket tickets, we raised probably twice as much as we had gone ahead with in-person event. So we were able just to be really honest with people and be like, look, this is our major fundraiser. This is how we pay for student scholarships and new uniforms and blah, 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 blah. And we're at really a huge risk of this turning into a mini loser for us, because in our specific event, or our specific situation, we lost the deposit for the caterer and the banquet hall that we were using. We were out $500. And so we just told people, we're out the deposit and we need to make this up. I was really happy to see the community come together and support, so that even though some people might be tightening their belts, other people still want to support and still have the means to support. So don't not ask because you're afraid of being told no. If you don't ask the question to begin with, you are already at a no. You have nothing to lose, as long as you don't come across in a way we need all this money and there's no excuse for you not giving it to us. That is the wrong tone to take. But we did have pretty wide community support. And again, I just said, we're at risk of this being a money loser. Help in any way that you can. If you personally can't help, share it with a friend, share it with your family. You're gonna have to be a little creative. And if you need some help with being creative for your events, don't hesitate to post it in the Superstar Leader group, okay? We can help you. That is one of the main things that I love about the group, is that we have such a collection of brain power and all in one place. Now I'll take some questions. So Megan has asked, what do you have planned for Teacher Appreciation? So I was just gonna send videos of my children to their teachers. The high schooler, actually, he will not do that. But the 6th grader, he probably will for his favorite teachers. So that's what I have planned personally. I am not a president of a unit. I am president of a PTA council, so the individual units can do whatever they want. Again, I would just encourage something easy peasy. Don't stress yourself out. Don't be trying to do an event. Don't be like full-blown PTO mama. Like, I think it's totally fine just for you to do small individual acknowledgments of your appreciation, and then save the big stuff for the beginning of the year. Because I think the beginning of the year is actually really ideal to do teacher appreciation for a couple of reasons. Yes, everyone's excited, but it's also like a big shift for all of your teachers who have been not waking up at 5:30 in the morning to get to school on time. I think they could use that support. Like, I know in the past when my units have done things at the beginning of the school year, the teachers are a little more appreciative, I think, of it, because maybe it's not as expected. Like, they kind of expect, oh yeah, in May, that's Teacher Appreciation Week. So they expect it during then. So anytime you're getting it outside of that will be good. And I think that in the fall, this fall, when we come back, represents a really exciting and new time where I think people will have their priorities a little more clear. They will have hopefully decluttered their life from things. Because I think one of the things that this particular time is doing for us, it's really helping us see what our priorities are, right? Where we want to use our time. I know that's what I've been using some of this time for, is to kind of figure all that kind of stuff out. So hope you're doing the same and using it wisely, since we're supposed to be hanging out by ourselves or just with our family units. Just, take a little time. Use this when you might not normally think about those things. Think about them. If you have not already, I will tell you a super easy way to get reminded about when the lives are happening. It's to like the PTO Answers Facebook page and make sure you click the little follow thing or whatever, so that I think everything will just like pop up in your feed, or you'll get like a notification.